Let me tell you something, ladies. Men are natural hunters. It's in our DNA. We love to pursue, to win, to conquer. But here's the catch. If a man doesn't feel like he has something to chase, he'll lose interest real fast. See, the problem today is that too many women are giving everything too early. The time, the attention, the energy. And then wonder why he's not chasing. But when you know your value, when you understand what you bring to the table, the whole game changes. The moment you stop trying to impress him and start living your life with purpose, you flip the power. You stop being the chaser and become the prize. A man is drawn to confidence when he sees a woman who's not waiting by the phone, not begging for his attention, not rearranging her life for him. That gets his attention. He starts thinking, wait a minute, who is this woman who doesn't need me to feel complete? That's when the chase begins. Men chase value, not availability. That's just the truth. You can't expect a man to appreciate what he doesn't have to work for. When something comes too easily, it loses its shine. It's the same way with love and attention. If you hand a man your time, energy, and affection without him earning it, he'll take it for granted because there's no sense of challenge, no sense of pursuit. See, men are wired to hunt. We love to chase, to conquer, to earn something that feels rare. When a woman gives herself too soon, emotionally, mentally, or physically, it removes that natural drive. A man stops chasing when he feels like there's nothing left to chase. Now, I'm not saying you should play games or pretend to be someone you're not. I'm saying know your value. Know that your time, your peace, and your love are worth protecting. When you value yourself, you automatically become less available to nonsense. You stop picking up every call, replying instantly to every message, or adjusting your life around a man who's only halfway in. When a man sees that you're not desperate for his attention, it triggers something inside him. He starts wondering, what makes her so secure? Why isn't she trying to impress me? And that curiosity becomes the beginning of his chase. See, when a woman has standards, she stands out. Most people are willing to settle just to have somebody around. But when you carry yourself with class and boundaries, you send a clear message. You're not just anybody, you're somebody valuable. That's what men notice. It's not always about looks or appearance. It's about how you move, how you talk, and how you treat yourself. When you respect yourself, you teach him how to treat you. If you don't demand value from yourself, you can't expect it from him. A man who truly wants you will rise to meet your standards. The wrong man will get frustrated when he realizes you're not easy to get. But the right man will admire it. He'll see your worth and understand that he needs to bring more than words to the table. He'll start calling more consistently, putting effort into making plans, paying attention to what makes you happy, because he knows you're not going to stay for breadcrumbs. That's the difference between being wanted and being valued. When you give your energy too freely, you spread yourself thin. You start to lose the mystery, the excitement, and the power that comes from being selective. Every time you say yes too quickly, you train him to believe he doesn't have to try. But when you take your time, when you let him work for your presence, he values it. He looks forward to hearing from you, to spending time with you, to getting to know you on a deeper level. It's not about withholding love. It's about protecting it. You become more valuable when you understand that your energy is a privilege, not a prize to be handed out. A man should feel lucky to be in your space, not entitled to it. And that happens when you stop being too available. When you're focused on your goals, your growth, your happiness, you radiate something powerful. You become the woman who doesn't need a man to feel complete, but who welcomes the right one when he proves he's worthy. That's what makes a man chase. Not because you played a role, but because you embodied real value. When you move with purpose and patience, the right man will recognize your worth without you saying a word. He'll see that your love isn't something that can be rushed or demanded. It's something that has to be earned. And when he finally realizes that he won't stop chasing because he knows a woman like you doesn't come around twice. Confidence is magnetic. When a woman carries herself with confidence, she becomes unforgettable. It's not about being loud or showing off. It's about walking in quiet certainty, knowing who you are, what you deserve, and what you bring to the table. Confidence is the energy that draws people in without you having to say a word. It's in the way you walk into a room, the way you speak, and even the way you hold your silence. Men are drawn to that because it's rare. Most people are chasing validation, but a confident woman doesn't chase, she attracts. A man can sense when a woman believes in herself. He can feel it in her energy. She's not waiting around for compliments to know she's beautiful. She doesn't need someone to tell her she's worthy. She already knows. And that kind of energy makes a man want to step up. It makes him want to impress her to match her level. Because a confident woman doesn't settle for halfway effort. She doesn't accept excuses. She doesn't fall for empty promises. She holds herself and everyone around her to a higher standard. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect. When a woman moves with confidence, she doesn't compete with anyone. She knows her lane and stays focused on it. She celebrates other women instead of comparing herself to them. That's powerful because it shows emotional maturity. A man sees that and realizes he can't shake her with small talk or games. She's steady, she's grounded, she knows her value, doesn't depend on his approval or attention. And when a man feels that calm power, it pulls him closer. It makes him curious about her story, her goals, her mindset. Confidence is also about boundaries. It's saying no when something doesn't align with your peace and doing it without guilt. It's not being afraid to walk away from someone who doesn't treat you right. When you can stand on your own, even when it's hard, that's real strength. A confident woman doesn't stay in situations that drain her just to say she has someone. She would rather be alone and at peace than attached and unhappy. That's what separates her from the rest. A man starts chasing when he feels that difference. He knows she's not just another option. She's the standard. And to be near her, he has to bring something meaningful. He can't come with half-truths or inconsistent behavior because she'll notice it right away. She's not blinded by attraction. She's guided by self-worth. That's what makes her so magnetic. She's not desperate for love. She's selective about who she shares it with. Confidence also shines through how you handle challenges. Life will test you, relationships will test you, but your ability to stay composed, to keep your dignity even when things fall apart, shows a level of maturity most people never reach. When you don't let pain turn you bitter or insecure, when you keep showing up for yourself, you glow differently. You carry peace, not panic. You move with grace, not fear. That's the kind of energy men can't ignore. The truth is, confidence can't be faked. You can't pretend to love yourself for long. It shows in your actions, your choices, and your habits. When you truly believe you deserve better, you stop settling for less. You stop trying to prove your worth, and you start protecting your peace. That's when your presence becomes powerful. A confident woman doesn't have to chase. Her energy does the talking. A man naturally wants to be around her because she makes him want to rise. She inspires him to grow, to become better, to be worthy of standing beside her. That's the kind of woman who doesn't demand attention. She commands it effortlessly. Be the prize, not the pursuer. That's where most people get it wrong. When you start chasing a man, you flip the natural balance. You take away the very thing that makes a man want to earn you, the thrill of pursuit. Men are wired to go after what they value. When something feels like a prize, they put in effort. They stay consistent. They show up. But when the prize starts chasing them, they start to lose interest because the challenge disappears. You can't convince a man to value you. He has to feel that you are worth the chase. Being the prize doesn't mean playing games or pretending to be hard to get. It means knowing your worth so deeply that you don't chase anyone who's not chasing you with the same energy. You understand that your time, your heart, and your presence are valuable. You're not out here begging for love, you're waiting for alignment. When you see yourself as the prize, you stop trying to prove that you're enough. You stop lowering your standards just to keep someone around. Instead, you let people show you through their actions whether they deserve a place in your life. A man respects what he earns. When you let him chase you, you give him the opportunity to invest in the connection. You allow him to show his intentions, his consistency, and his effort. And when he earns your trust and love, he values it because it wasn't handed to him. It was built. That's the kind of love that lasts. But if you do all the work, if you're always reaching out, fixing things, and proving your worth, you teach him that he doesn't have to do anything to keep you. And once a man realizes he doesn't have to work for your presence, he starts pulling away. Being the prize means having self-control. It means not responding to every call or text right away, not because you're trying to manipulate him, but because you have your own life. You have priorities, goals, and a purpose beyond the relationship. That's attractive. A man will chase the woman who has her own world, who doesn't depend on him for happiness. When you're busy becoming the best version of yourself, you automatically become harder to reach, not because you're avoiding him, but because you're focused. That creates value. That makes a man step up because he realizes he's dealing with a woman who won't sit around waiting. The prize mindset also changes the way you respond to disrespect. When you know your worth, you don't explain yourself repeatedly to someone who doesn't get it. You don't chase after closure, and you don't beg for attention. You simply distance yourself and let your absence speak. That silence has power. A man starts to feel it when you're no longer available to fix things. He remembers your energy, your peace, your vibe, and that's when he realizes he lost something special. A prize doesn't run after people. A prize waits to be earned. That's why it's called a prize, because it holds value. It has meaning. It stands for something. You can't demand to be treated like the prize while acting like the pursuer. The moment you start running after someone who's not chasing you, you stop being the reward and start being the option. But when you stand firm, when you believe that the right man will meet your effort and match your energy, you attract love that's real, not forced. Being the prize means you lead with self-respect, not fear. You know that what's meant for you will come when it's time, and you won't have to chase it. You don't compete for attention. You command it by being authentic, kind, and strong. The man who sees your worth will never make you chase. He'll chase you because he'll know exactly what kind of woman he's dealing with, one who knows she's the prize. Live your own life fully. That's what makes you truly irresistible. When a woman is focused on her purpose, when she's passionate about her dreams, and when she wakes up every day with something meaningful to work toward, she shines in a way that captures attention without even trying. Men notice that kind of energy because it's rare. Too many people lose themselves in relationships waiting on someone else to make them feel complete. But when you have your own goals, your own rhythm, and your own life, you become the kind of woman who's magnetic, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you're fulfilled from within. A man is drawn to a woman who has something going for herself. It doesn't matter if it's a career, a passion, a hobby, or a mission. It's that spark of purpose that makes her stand out. When you're busy building your life, you don't have time to sit around wondering why he hasn't called. You're too busy living, growing, and becoming the best version of yourself. That's powerful. That's when a man looks at you and says, I need to be part of her world. He sees that you're not dependent on him for happiness. You already have your own. And that independence creates desire, not distance. Living your own life also teaches you balance. You stop giving your energy to things that don't grow you. You stop chasing after people who don't invest back. You start realizing that your time is valuable and your peace is priceless. That kind of mindset changes the way you carry yourself. You become calm, selective, and self-assured. You no longer beg for attention because your life already has meaning with or without a relationship. That's the energy that makes a man chase you, because you're not chasing him. You're busy living. A woman with purpose doesn't need to announce her worth. She shows it through her actions. She takes care of herself, she handles her responsibilities, and she doesn't let setbacks define her. When things go wrong, she doesn't fall apart. She adapts, learns, and keeps moving forward. That strength and resilience make her unforgettable. A man sees that she's not looking for someone to rescue her. She's looking for someone to grow with. And that difference is what separates the women men date for a season from the ones they chase for a lifetime. Living your own life fully also means maintaining your identity in love. When you get into a relationship, you don't disappear into it. You don't give up your dreams, your friends, or your goals just to fit into someone else's life. You bring your own flavor, your own passion, and your own world into the relationship. You remain you. Because when a man sees that you have something you're passionate about, something that makes your eyes light up, it inspires him too. It makes him respect you more. It makes him want to contribute to your growth instead of control it. When you live a life that fulfills you, you radiate peace and confidence. You stop needing anyone to fill your emptiness because you've already filled it yourself. That's what changes everything. The right man won't feel threatened by your independence. He'll be drawn to it. He'll see your strength and realize that you're not chasing security through him. You already have it. And that kind of energy makes him want to step up and be a part of your world, not because you need him, but because you choose him. When you live fully, you naturally attract people who match your energy. You stop attracting chaos because your life is too full of purpose for drama. You attract a man who's on your level, a man who doesn't want to slow you down, but wants to build with you. That's when chasing stops and mutual respect begins. Because when you're genuinely happy and whole on your own, a man doesn't just like you. He admires you, he respects you, and he'll chase you naturally because he knows you're the kind of woman who brings light wherever she goes. Set boundaries without fear, because the moment you learn how to say no without guilt, you take your power back. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about protecting your peace, your energy, and your self-worth. When you allow anything and everything just to keep someone around, you lose pieces of yourself in the process. But when you stand firm and make it clear what you will and won't tolerate, you attract the kind of man who respects you instead of testing you. A man can tell when a woman respects herself. He can feel it in how she carries herself, in the tone of her voice, and in the way she reacts to disrespect. When you set boundaries, you teach people how to treat you. If you let someone walk over you once, they'll do it again. If you make excuses for bad behavior, they'll assume it's acceptable. But when you calmly, confidently say, "This is not okay with me," you send a message louder than words, that you value yourself enough not to settle for less. The right man will see that and admire it, because real men are drawn to women with standards. A man who's serious about you won't be scared off by your boundaries. He'll step up to meet them. The wrong ones will leave, and that's exactly what boundaries are supposed to do. Filter out the people who were never meant to stay. Setting boundaries also means not being afraid of losing someone. So many people compromise their peace because they're scared of being alone. But being alone is better than being disrespected. Every time you stay in a situation that doesn't honor your worth, you send a message to yourself that you don't deserve better. But when you walk away from what doesn't serve you, even if it hurts, you grow stronger. That strength builds self-respect, and self-respect is what makes you glow. A man can't help but notice a woman who knows when to walk away, because it shows she values her heart more than her desire to be chosen. Boundaries aren't just about saying no to others. They're also about saying yes to yourself. It's about choosing your peace over constant arguments, your self-respect over temporary validation, and your growth over toxic patterns. When you do that, you raise your standards, not just in relationships, but in life. You stop settling for half-hearted effort, inconsistent communication, or one-sided love. You stop accepting apologies that come with no change. You begin to understand that you're not hard to love, you're just no longer easy to play with. A woman with boundaries carries herself differently. She's calm because she knows her limits. She doesn't over-explain, she doesn't beg for understanding, and she doesn't need to prove her point. Her silence becomes her strength. A man feels that energy, and it makes him think twice before crossing the line. He starts chasing her respect, not just her attention. He realizes she's not like everyone else who accepts less and calls it love. She's solid, she's consistent, and she knows her value. That's the kind of woman a man wants to earn, not the kind he takes for granted. Boundaries don't make you difficult, they make you clear. They separate what you want from what you won't allow. They help you protect the parts of yourself that deserve care. Your heart, your time, your energy. When you honor those parts of yourself, you send a message to the world that you are not desperate, you are disciplined. And that's when everything changes. Because a woman who sets boundaries commands respect without demanding it. She doesn't have to raise her voice or prove her worth. Her peace speaks for her. That's the kind of woman who doesn't chase love. Love chases her. Setting boundaries without fear is one of the strongest and most beautiful acts of self-love a woman can practice. It means you've reached a point where your peace matters more than pleasing others, where your self-respect comes before anyone's approval. Too many women stay quiet when they should speak, stay when they should walk away, and forgive things that broke them, all because they're afraid of losing someone. But the truth is, the moment you set clear boundaries, you stop losing yourself in the process of trying to keep someone else. Boundaries don't push the right people away. They protect you from the wrong ones. When you know your worth, you stop entertaining anything that doesn't align with it. You stop accepting half love, mixed signals, and inconsistent effort. You start realizing that your energy is sacred and not everyone deserves access to it. A man can feel that energy. He senses when a woman has standards, when she's not going to accept disrespect, neglect, or excuses. That kind of woman doesn't argue to prove her value. She simply removes herself when she's not being valued. That's where real strength lies. Not in being loud, but in being clear. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They're about controlling what you allow. You can't change how someone treats you, but you can choose whether to stay in spaces that dishonor you. Every time you let something slide that hurts you, you teach that person that their behavior is acceptable. But when you stand firm and say, "No, I won't accept that," you show them that your love has limits. And love with limits is healthy love, because love without respect will never last. A woman who sets boundaries is not cold or difficult. She's disciplined. She's learned that peace is more valuable than constant chaos. She's learned that not everyone who wants her deserves her. That's why she moves differently. She doesn't pick fights, but she doesn't stay silent when she's wrong. She doesn't beg to be understood. She speaks her truth and stands by it. And a man who truly cares for her won't be threatened by that. He'll appreciate it, because boundaries give direction to love. They show how to treat you, how to communicate, and how to build something real. The truth is, a man respects what he can't walk over. When a woman allows everything, she ends up losing her voice, her identity, and her self-esteem. But when she draws the line, she earns his respect. She becomes someone he can't play with, because she's already shown she's not afraid to walk away. A man can sense when a woman means what she says. And once he realizes she's not scared to lose him, He understands he has to step up if he wants to keep her. That's the kind of woman who shifts the energy in any relationship. She doesn't demand effort. She inspires it. Setting boundaries also changes how you see yourself. It's not just about keeping others in check. It's about reminding yourself that you're worthy of consistency, love, and peace. Every time you enforce a boundary, you build trust with yourself. You prove that you'll protect your heart even when it's hard. That kind of strength radiates confidence. A man sees it and feels it. The calmness, the certainty, the self-assurance. It makes him chase because he knows he can't take that kind of woman for granted. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors with locks. You choose who enters and who stays. You choose what kind of energy surrounds you. And when you stand firm in your standards, you attract men who are emotionally mature enough to handle them. Because a woman who honors her boundaries doesn't need to chase love. She becomes the kind of woman love naturally chases. Energy attracts energy. What you put out into the world comes right back to you, especially in relationships. When you move with calmness, confidence, and self-respect, you attract people who match that vibration. But when you move from fear, insecurity, or desperation, you'll attract the same kind of energy in return, unstable, uncertain, and draining. That's why it's so important to be intentional about the energy you carry. The way you feel about yourself sets the tone for how others treat you. When a woman is grounded in peace and certainty, she becomes magnetic. She doesn't have to chase attention. Her presence naturally draws it. A man can instantly feel the difference between a woman who's centered and one who's restless. When your energy says, "I'm content with who I am," it creates mystery. It makes him want to know more. It's not about what you say or how you look. It's about how you make him feel when he's around you. Calm energy feels safe, and safe energy feels attractive. It's that quiet confidence that makes a man want to come closer. Not because you're trying to pull him in, but because your energy makes him feel at ease. You become the kind of woman who doesn't force connections. You allow them to happen naturally. Your energy is a reflection of what you believe about yourself. If you believe you're worthy of love and respect, you won't settle for anything less. You won't entertain inconsistent behavior or chase mixed signals because that energy doesn't match yours. But if you operate from a place of fear, the fear of being alone, of not being enough, or of losing someone, you start attracting situations that confirm those fears. That's why healing is so powerful. When you work on yourself, when you forgive your past and release bitterness, you raise your frequency. You start to attract healthier, more balanced relationships because your inner world finally aligns with the love you deserve. A confident, peaceful woman doesn't try to control outcomes. She knows that what's meant for her will find her. She doesn't chase, she attracts. She understands that her job isn't to prove her worth, but to embody it. Her energy says, "I'm whole with or without you." And that's what makes a man chase her. Not because she's playing hard to get, but because her energy feels different from everyone else's. She's not desperate for love. She's selective with her peace. That kind of woman stands out in a world where so many people are begging to be noticed. Energy also speaks louder than words. You can tell someone you're fine, but your energy will tell the truth. You can act like you're confident, but if your heart is anxious and doubtful, that will show too. That's why alignment matters. When your words, emotions, and actions match, you become powerful. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to convince anyone of your worth. You simply live it. And the people who are meant for you will recognize it instantly.